The number one question I get from recently divorced clients is, Laurie, how do I make sure I don't run out of money? The answer to that question is simple. All you need to do is make sure that each year your annual income exceeds your annual expenses. This is easy to understand, but difficult to implement. That's why you're taking this online course. You want to do everything possible to make sure your money lasts as long as you do. I've created an 8-step process to guide you. But first, let me tell you a story about a woman named Karen who approached me after a talk I gave at a library several years ago. I had just launched my book, Every Woman Should Know Her Options, Invest Your Way to Financial Empowerment. Karen told me that she was recently divorced and had received a cash settlement of $600,000. She had traded her share of the other marital assets for the cash and wasn't receiving spousal support. She used to work as a massage therapist but hadn't worked in many years and didn't want to go back to work. She told me her plan was to move to a place with a lower cost of living and cut her expenses dramatically. When I brought up the issue of investing, which was the subject of my talk, she said she was terrified of losing any money and didn't want to risk any of it. I'm sure you would agree that $600,000 is a lot of money, right? It's probably going to last a long time, isn't it? Especially if you live really frugally. Let's assume Karen decided to keep her money in a savings account and withdraw $2,500 a month to start with. If that's even possible, considering what it costs for rent, utilities, healthcare insurance, food, transportation. But due to inflation, she'd have to take just a little more out each year because most things become more expensive in the future. How long do you think $600,000 would last? 40 years? 30 years? Given that Karen was 49 years old at the time, I calculated that she would run out of that money by the time she turned 65. Sure, she'd have access to Social Security and Medicare, but nothing else. But if Karen were to work even part-time, just for a few years, and invest her money wisely, her money would last much longer. So, are you ready to hear about my 8-step process for how to not run out of money? The first few steps are easy, but I'll admit that the last few steps are hard. Step 1. Write down what you own and what you owe. In lesson 1 of my online course, Secure What's Yours and Protect What You Have, I teach you how to calculate your net worth. I give you a worksheet and guide you on how to add up all your assets and your debts, and then subtract your debts from your assets. You want to have a positive net worth like Karen did. The bigger, the better. If you have a negative net worth, you may be on the path to running out of money, and I give you tips on how to turn that ship around. Step 2. Think about how much it costs you to live each year. Most people have no idea how much money they spend every year or every month. In lesson 2 of my online course, Pay Your Bills and Pay Yourself, I teach you how to figure this out. Step 3. Once you figure out how much you might spend this year and next year, you need to estimate how much you will need to spend 20, 30, or even 40 years from now. By then, you might have paid off your mortgage or student loans for yourself or your children, resulting in your monthly expenses being lower. However, due to inflation, things that you spend money on now, such as groceries, gas for your car, and salon visits, will cost much more in the future. Let's say it costs you $50,000 a year to live right now. You should expect that 30 years from now, you'll actually have to spend about $130,000 a year just to pay for the same stuff you pay for now. You're probably thinking, come on, Laurie, that can't be right. But just take a minute and think about how much stuff cost 30 years ago. Both a gallon of gas and a half gallon of milk cost only $1, and a stamp was only 22 cents. Karen, in my example, did not consider the impact of inflation. Step 4. You need to predict how old you'll be when you no longer have money coming in each year. Let me explain. If most of your income today is generated through working, you'll have to figure out how old you'll be when you no longer want to work or can no longer physically work. This is your retirement age. Now, if most of your income today is generated through payments from your ex-spouse, such as spousal or child support, you'll have to figure out how old you'll be when these payments are reduced or you no longer receive these payments at all. If most of your income is generated through investment income, such as stock dividends or rental real estate, you're in pretty good shape, as this income doesn't have to stop once you hit a certain age. You have the ability to make sure these income payments continue throughout your lifetime, as long as you know how to manage these assets properly and know how to manage investment risk. Many women work with financial advisors to help them invest their money wisely, so find a good one. Step 5. Go online to ssa.gov and check how much Social Security you're entitled to receive. You may not be aware that if you were married for more than 10 years, you can choose how much Social Security you receive, either 100% of your benefit or 50% of your ex-spouse's benefit. Now, if you receive a government pension, you may receive limited or no Social Security, so it's something you'll want to find out. Step 6. Determine how much additional income beyond guaranteed payments like Social Security or a pension you'll need to generate each year in order to cover your expenses, which you figured out in Step 3. That's your income gap and what you'll need investment income to fill. Step 7. This is the most difficult and math-intensive step, full of assumptions and predictions. Once you know how much investment income you need to generate each year, you'll need to calculate how much in savings is required today and in the future so you can generate that level of investment income. In most cases, this would be a retirement account or brokerage account, but could also be rental real estate or a business or a combination of several types of assets. In Lesson 3 of my online course, Invest Your Money Now to Create Financial Abundance Later, I demonstrate free online tools and teach you how to run various scenarios. You will learn so much in that lesson. Step 8, the last step, is the most important one. After completing lessons 1, 2, and 3, you'll be able to create a personalized plan for what you need to start doing today so that your assets generate income to last a lifetime. It might mean that you find a higher paying job, get a side gig, or reduce your expenses. You want to do everything possible to pay yourself by saving money each year, which you can put into an investment account or retirement account so it can grow. You are in control of the decisions you make. You have options. As I stated earlier, if you can generate annual income that exceeds your annual expenses, you'll never run out of money. Now that's what I call financial independence.